The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast.
Is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Hosted by three BFFs, DaddyDWALLY, Chipotle Bear, and Bubble Boy and Seven.
And new intern, X-Bacon Gamin'.
This is Cortana. And remember, don't make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it. As always, Spartans, see you online.
Oh, hello. DaddyDWALLY here, and welcome to The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Joining me, as always, is the assistant to the co-host, Chipotle Bear. Chipotle Bear, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's been we got a crazy freak storm here in Colorado yesterday, so it was all this terrible snow, but it's supposed to be warm again, so I'm happy that it's getting warmer. And work's going great, man. It was Kindness Week at school, so a lot of really cool activities going on. Today we finished with the hockey day, and Bernie, the Avalanche mascot, came to Bear Creek, which was pretty dope. So I'm doing great, man. Excited to talk about video games. There's been a lot of interesting news.
Yep.
And some news. A bit of nudity too, apparently. And good to be here.
I had no idea that the Avs mascot's name is Bernie. Is he like the Sasquatch or something?
No, that's it. Yeah, no, he's a dog. He's like a mountain dog. Like you think of like the old cartoon dogs with like the liquor thing under their neck. He's that kind of dog. It's the same thing in Beethoven. Remember the movie Beethoven? Saint Bernard. That's why he's Bernie. It's Bernie the Saint Bernard.
Is the Sasquatch thing still a thing?
I don't think so. I think that mascot's gone. The Yeti. I think it's just Bernie now. I think it's a travesty. I love all things cryptid.
Wow.
They didn't ask me. So.
All right. And joining us, as always, is the intern to the assistant to the co-hosts, X-Bacon Gamin'.
Fellas, just when I thought winter was over, we were going to get out of this, it slapped me in the face, and I sat in a minivan for 10 hours in that crap yesterday. But I'm ready to talk some games and some Activision. Let's go.
We had a random snowstorm. I mean, it's sunny and melted on the pavement and streets now, but it's just not fun waking up to. It was quite a bit. Like, it was no joke.
It's winter.
Yeah, it was like a 7-inch storm.
We're supposed to get more next week.
Above average, as
we finally had where there was no snow around us. It had finally melted basically everywhere, and now it's back, and it's going to be here forever. So, anyway, guys,
from that storm that fell in Christmas, that snow was still on the ground.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
it was that
before
long.
Christmas.
Wow.
All right, guys, let's start the show. Oh, wait, I forgot to say this. Forgive me. We have news. So the assistant to the co-host, aka Bubble Boy and Seven, aka Chance, said that he wanted me to say this. He's going to take a leave of absence, and this was his direct quote. "You can say I'm joining Aaron Rodgers on his darkness retreat. As he said, that's why I think it's going to be important to get through this week and then, to take my isolation retreat. Just to be able to contemplate all things about my future and then make a decision that I feel is best for me moving forward and the highest interest of my happiness." So shout out to Aaron Rodgers and Bubble Boy. They are both going into a few days of isolation into darkness. So Godspeed to Bubble Boy. You're welcome.
We salute you.
You're welcome back whenever you want. If you just want to come here and talk video games, then that's all we want you here. So please come back, Bubble Boy, and survive the darkness isolation, which I hear they're recording Aaron Rodgers in it and they're recording Bubble Boy. So hopefully we'll get to watch footage of each and see who lasts longer in their darkness retreat. Now, changing gears here, let's jump into some Nerd Chat shoutouts, Jose. Huge TNC shout out to our new subs on YouTube, boys. We got Adam Perez, Daniel7978, Dave M subbing to us on YouTube. And Jose, forgive me or correct me if I'm wrong here. Is Adam Perez? I feel like he might be a PS Trophy Room fan. I feel like I've heard his name before. Does that sound familiar to you?
I mean, he's not. If he is, he's not part of their typical like roll of names because I just listened to that today. So I don't think so. But anyway, to all of you, shout out. Thank you for joining us. Always feel free to chat in, write in. We love interacting with our crowd, and it's a growing crowd. So don't be shy.
please.
We take good.
Where can
good
they
fan
slide
critiques.
into, Jose?
Ooh, you can always slide into a direct email to us at the nerdchatpodcast@gmail. You can also slide into all those DMs. Again, all of us have our own little slices of the internet on Twitter and the Twitter sphere, so feel free to reach out.
I also wanted to give a huge shout out to our Instagram. We have a new follow. Shout out to Christina West 688 for following the show on Instagram. And then we have do we have any more? Oh, yep. Comments on YouTube. So this came from @Barkster 2003.
Barkster.
He wrote on our YouTube, and this was regarding our Nintendo Direct reactions. It's interesting what Xbox guys think about Nintendo Direct. I don't know.
Fair. It's a fair
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I do believe I responded saying, yeah, we're lost over here. We don't know what's going on with Nintendo, but I did want to shout out that kind comment from him. And
also, 2003 was a great year.
Exactly. That was what year, Jose?
That was our graduation year, bud.
That is
coming up on 20 reunion.
Yes, Jose and a few others. I got a message on Facebook. We have our 20-year high school reunion this summer. Wow. Absolutely terrifying, Jose.
Dan's getting old. That's what that means.
I wonder if his name is actually Barcaster.
No, it didn't have the CA in there. But anyway, next one is a huge TNC shout out to Nell Jarrett 6621. Random numbers there. LOL, the Pop-Tart conversation was fantastic. I was laughing out loud. For the record, I am Team Bacon and Chapeau. Also loved the nod to Tommy Boy at the end. I believe Nell knows somebody on the show. A guy named Jason. I don't even know who Jason Jarrett is, but I only know ex Bacon Gaming. So, Bacon, do you have any comments to respond to your lovely wife there?
My wife watches the show start to finish every single week for us
we
boys.
Appreciate the view.
Dedicated.
Very dedicated. Hopefully she's skipping through the video game talk. I don't blame her for that as long as she gets.
No, we talked about it at school.
Yep.
The other day down the hallway, she yelled, "See you online," and I was like, "Love it."
You got what else? Oh, hello, Grace. Oh, thank you, buddy.
Good night, Grayson. Good to see you, buddy.
Say goodbye, guys. Say see you online. Come on, Grayson. Don't embarrass me. Say see you online.
You're crazy, Dad.
Okay, see you, buddy. Love you. Just coughed in my face and you're all sick. Thank you for that. What was I going to say? Oh, and I also forgot. We got a few more shout outs in our emails, mostly from bots saying our SEO needs to be improved and they can give me a quote.
Also fair.
Yeah. And Jose, also, please share your story quickly. What happened to you at work this week?
So as I came into work on Monday morning, and I don't know if you can see this very well on the video, I'll try to keep it out of the glare. There was a very threatening note in my mailbox. And it's literally like a serial killer note where like the pieces are cut out of a magazine that said, "Eat me now or else." And before you're thinking it's a Valentine's thing, it is not. There was a box of Pop-Tarts thing right in there as well.
What flavor?
And it is, of course, the frosted brown sugar cinnamon.
Okay, the goat.
Now, I did talk to Nell Jarrett, and I did ask, "Hey, did you put stuff in my box?" She was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." But she laughed away as she walked away. Here's what I will say. As a quick update, I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm going to announce it on air in front of the entire world that they were much better than I remembered as a kid. Now, I still maintain that when I was a kid and we used to get the 3-pack from like Costco or Sam's or whatever, they were always left over and no one ever wanted them to the point where we had to throw them away. But they must have improved the recipe. And so I have reordered my list. I have removed the plain strawberry from 4, and I've inserted this into number 4. It's still not my top 3.
But it's better than you thought.
But it is pretty good. I've actually been eating the rest of them this week. I finished the last pack today.
There you go.
So to whoever my mystery serial killer is out there, thank you, mystery fan.
I have an update also.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
I went Pop-Tart shopping this weekend, and I got some unfrosted strawberry. And you're a psychopath if you like that and eat that. I am sorry. Chapeau,
Did you heat it up or eat it dry or both?
I did. I tried it dry. I tried it heated. I dipped it in milk. The dog wouldn't eat it. But
To be
again,
fair, it's off my list. It's redacted.
All right.
It's now,
it sounds like you're accusing me of something here, Chapeau, but you're not quite accusing. But
well, I'm not accusing anyone. I'm simply thanking my adoring fan for the treat and for telling me that I'm wrong. I'm a man enough to admit when I'm wrong.
Thank you.
You have lots of fans at Bear Creek, so you can't just point your fingers at one. Okay,
that's fair. That's very fair.
We got my teachers listening for their evaluations. All right, guys, let's jump into Xbox news for the week, Jose.
Sorry, I wasn't ready.
News team, assemble!
And starting out this week, I just can't escape it, and I'm turning it right over to Bacon right away for the first news story. Bacon, talk to us about, what is this? Something about Activision Blizzard again, the CMA, the
so negative
Competition and Markets Authority summary of third-party call. Okay, talk to me, Bacon. Talk to us about the acquisition.
A four-page letter that was released by the CMA who talked to six industry
competitors,
folks,
right?
I'm assuming Sony and Google and Stadia or Luna, Nintendo, I would assume all those guys. And in this 4-page, I highlighted a few. And pardon my reading because I'm not a very good reader. A couple of these paragraphs. One of the third party contended that Microsoft's recent acquisition behavior, including its acquisition of Bethesda and subsequent platform publishing policy, demonstrates a strategy aimed at foreclosing rival gaming platforms, which would harm consumers. I'm assuming that's Starfield, and that's
what point was that on the document? Sorry, Bacon.
That was number 10.
Okay, if you want me to read another one, I can read you another one.
Oh, my reading.
No, you just said you wanted to talk, and
I highlighted 13
okay,
as well.
I will read that one as well for you because I enjoy the reading parts of it because this is interesting for me. But let's clarify before we jump into that point. This is random third party. We're talking publishers, video game publishers.
I'm assuming Steam is in there. It has to be
Steam, Google.
Partners.
Could
Amazon,
it be like
Luna,
EA? Could EA be in there? Or no, you're thinking
that's too small.
You're thinking
it's gotta be
maybe
bigger.
take two, maybe. But
okay, so we're talking major video game.
Right.
Everyone that's
I think if they would tell us who was
Nintendo.
I think if they told us who was in this, so we could tell who these statements are from, but they won't tell us who they spoke to.
Okay. So back to point 10.
13.
Sorry. No.
13.
I thought you said the first one was 10.
I read
10. So the recent behavior. Who do you think said this demonstrates aimed at foreclosing rival gaming platforms, which would harm consumers? Who do you think said that, Bacon? Talk to you.
Well, that's what the EU said in their findings. The CMA and EU are two different things. The EU said that Microsoft said they weren't going to do this, but they meant, continuing to support Minecraft and continue to support other games that are on the platforms and not just pulling that content off when they bought Mojang. So I think is more than anything a miscommunication, but I'm sure Sony's using this as
that sentence just looking at it doesn't make sense to me. How is them getting Bethesda aimed at foreclosing other gaming platform? It just doesn't make.
It's an assumption.
Yeah,
And the best thing is Sony was actually trying to get exclusivity to Starfield before Microsoft bought them. I mean, just actually hypocrisy.
I should read. I'm going to read this later tonight. But I'm just so tired of it. But I'm a little interested to see some of these responses. And I didn't realize it was only 4 pages, Bacon. So I apologize. I should have read this. I'll go to number 13.
5 or 6.
Number 13 says multi-game subscription services for console games. This is a response. One third party contended that Microsoft is already dominant in the multi-game subscription space and that the merger would entrench that position, harming consumers and its competitors in console gaming and multi-game subscription services. Who do we think said that, Bacon?
Well, that could be anyone because Stadia folded because
Google.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe.
Yeah, because Game Pass was too good, but we all know Sony also has their.
Yep, they have one, but they can't. They're
I'm
not
a
third party.
subscriber to that as well.
Google would make sense.
It's just, and it's a nascent category. It's not even defined at this point. Being actually, that's more cloud than probably the multi-game subscription. But I'd have to assume that's most of this is Sony speak, but.
No, but you said
be a
this
little
can't be
Stadia in there as
Sony.
well.
I'm guessing that was Google. That would be my guess. Here's the thing, though.
Right, because they folded.
It says that Microsoft is dominant. Okay, we've heard recently that there's around like 29 million people who are on Game Pass. I'd like to know how many millions of subscribers are on PS Plus, and then we could see how dominant they really are. Because is that maybe the only kind of
Steam is the other one.
No.
Exactly.
I was going to say I would only think PS Plus would be the only other subscription service.
Oh, no, Nintendo has theirs too. What's their yearly one? It's like real cheap.
That's not that's not the same.
It is a subscription service. You pay the yearly fee and you have access to all their backlog.
But there was a point earlier saying Nintendo's kind of different. But I don't know, Jose. I think that one you'd have to see what PlayStation Plus, whatever it is, essential. I don't even know. No, that's the first level. Premium. Who cares? I should have horrible naming. What's the other point you wanted to talk about, Bacon?
I got four more. I did number 14. It's a big one. I don't know if you want me to read it.
Cloud gaming services. The majority of third parties viewed cloud gaming as a nascent market. Can someone tell me what nascent means? Is that like a new?
I have it right here.
Just coming into existence.
Just coming into existence and beginning to display signs of future potential.
So they suggested that its success will be dependent upon the resolution of a number of technical problems, including latency, bandwidth, infrastructure. Some of these third parties expressed confidence that these problems will be solved and that cloud gaming will become a meaningful market, while others characterize cloud gaming as an already technically viable and existing market. Okay, so they're saying supposedly we might all be cloud gaming. Bacon, what did you want to pull from that statement?
I just think it's funny that a nascent market, it's not even defined at this moment, that the regulators are trying to regulate something that's not even clearly defined, or this isn't cable, this isn't bread, this isn't internet service. It's something that is not clearly defined and has much of a market at this point. And so they're hinging their bets on something like this. It's just, I've heard the word nascent plenty of times in all this, and I finally looked it up today because I'm like, I want to sound at least intelligent enough to know that, and I looked it up on my phone. But
I just looked it up too.
It's just, the only other is Stadia. Luna's also subscription based.
So these have to be Amazon,
folding, right?
and Google,
and
that's
and
maybe
Sony,
Netflix. I mean, because they're trying to get into gaming. Jose, what if from these points is there anything you want to add to it, or should we keep going?
No, I have thoughts at the end. I'll let Bacon finish
What's
his points, then I'll do kind of a wrap up.
15.
So this is cloud gaming as well. One third party stated that it considers all providers of entertainment on screens as its competitors in cloud gaming services, and that multi-homing or using more than one gaming service is prevalent among some groups of users. Yes. However, it identified the lack of hardware required for cloud gaming as a value add over consoles.
So basically what that's saying is Game Pass is a value add to consumers, and adding Activision. This is not against us. This is one point, or Microsoft. This is one point that says we believe it's a value add, and it breaks down the barriers of needing to buy a $500 console.
So this is a positive.
That's a win for us.
Okay.
Right.
And is there one more?
17 and 20. That's it.
Okay, so 17. This is still cloud gaming. Some third parties specifically highlighted the importance of Activision content, with 2 describing Activision content as must-have, and 1 contending that the new cloud gaming service would struggle without it.
So, who are the 2? We know 1 is Sony. 2. Would that?
Is it Google?
No, but see, wait,
right? Activision.
2 of the some of the third parties, and 2 of them said it's a must-have. Everybody has it. Nobody uses it in
that
cloud.
A new cloud gaming service would struggle with that. So they're just arguing that Call of Duty needs to be available on anybody who makes some sort of streaming service. Okay, I have a lot to say about. Let's get to the end because I think this is going to go through, but
Yeah,
I think the concessions are going to be huge if Microsoft really wants this to
Right.
get done. And 20 views on the
20's
merger.
left.
2 of the third parties did not express concerns about the merger. Oh, well, 3 contended. Okay, so there's 5. It looks like that 3 contended that the merger would have a negative impact on competition, including by affording Microsoft the ability and incentive to foreclose potential and existing rivals in the console buy-to-play, console multi-game subscription, and cloud gaming spaces. One third party commented that it was too early to determine what the impact of the merger would be. I would agree with that last statement. So,
Right.
Bacon, closing thoughts on this, and then we'll throw it over to Jose.
It just basically says that these guys are saying that Microsoft's going to basically destroy gaming with this acquisition, and that one freaking title. There's also something in here that said they own some of the Activision owns some of the biggest AAA IP in the gaming space. And I'm trying to think about it. I'm like Diablo and Call of
StarCraft,
Duty,
maybe
like
as
two
Overwatch.
total IPs out there. I guess it seems popular, but it's just, I just thought this was really interesting to finally hear it and see it on the CMA's letterhead, not see, this tweet or that tweet.
Yeah.
And so
I'm definitely going to take a look at it.
And you should read it all when you get a chance.
Yeah. Before I throw it over to Jose, here's what I think is going to happen, guys. This deal is going to go through, but Microsoft's going to make some serious concessions. And I think I said it was crazy for them. They might have to say Call of Duty is going to be multi-platform indefinitely. I would, if that's, think about that. If that's what it has to take for this deal to get through, Jose, do you think they would do it? If that was the one thing that Sony
Absolutely.
wants?
I also don't think that they've said they wouldn't do that.
Correct.
I mean, we've said that multiple times. And here's a couple points real quick. I'll be quick.
Indefinitely. Like that seems pretty crazy.
Yes.
Realistic.
Yes.
You're buying something and you own it.
You're right. But there's a couple catch-alls there. Hang on. So here's the reality. This is from the CMAs, but this is not their words. Right? This is them interviewing companies. And the reality of this is a very simple reality. In the business world, on the legal side, there is no friendship. There is no such thing as being nice for the sake of being nice. So even if theoretically Google was like, we really don't care if Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, if they were to go to their lawyers and their lawyers basically responded on behalf of like, do you think this could be damaging potentially to the gaming market of the future? Their lawyers are going to absolutely 100% say, yeah, it could be. Because that's not a false statement, right? That's a realistic statement. So I mean, I think a lot of this, because it came from these 6 companies, I'm not saying it's unimportant, and it is obviously going to be part of this kind of bigger portfolio of what becomes of this case. But the reality is, like, the best thing that we got was in number 20, where 2 of them were like, yeah, it's no big deal, let them have it. That's actually pretty crazy. The 2 of the big names in the industry basically said it's fine. The third one said, it's too early to tell. And then 2 really pushed back hard. I'm sure one of those is Sony. The other one, who knows, right? And it's not worth wasting our time trying to guess which one it is. Here's what I would say though, is that I do agree with you, Dan. I think ultimately this is still going to go through with concessions, but again, I don't think that was necessarily going to be not the case anyway. And I cannot express enough how dumb it would be for Microsoft to take Call of Duty and only make it an Xbox game, right? Like that in of itself is not enough to help them drive profits and bring people to Xbox. They will make so much more money by putting it on PlayStation and PC and potentially the Switch or whatever comes next in that line of series, right? That I think it's fine even if they said indefinitely, because there's also a loophole there too. Right. The loophole is that you take all of Call of Duty and in 5 years, we don't have any more Call of Duties. It's now called Medal of Honor. Right. And it's like, it's the same game, but with a different title. And you totally avoid all these contracts. So I don't think that's the game that Microsoft is playing. Microsoft sees the bigger picture here. And there's an interesting tweet. I can't remember who said it Joe said it on PlayStation, or the Trophy Room last week. He goes, the real company that Microsoft wants is not Activision and it's not Blizzard. It's King. And I was honestly blown away when I heard that. Well, and I'm not saying I agree with it. Hang on.
Kyle's response was good too.
You're right. That seems a little far-fetched for me. Like I do think they still want Call of Duty. I think they still want all the League of Legends stuff and Overwatch, because that's a big esports thing. But again, because we've talked about this many times, I even made the argument with Halo in the slip space and Unreal 5 stuff, is that the mobile market is where Microsoft sees this future going. and they're pushing for it. And even today, the last thing I'll say is on Twitter, I saw this poll that they said, if you are a gamer right now and you're not paying attention to all this stuff, here's what's clearly happening. Xbox sees the future in mobile gaming, and you can see that by everything they're doing with Game Pass and all of these acquisitions. It is the future is mobile. Sony is going the VR route, right? And it's each of these
Are
is kind
they,
of like
though?
betting their future.
Are-
I mean, the
they
VR 2 is
really?
coming out, right?
The PSVR 2, who knows how that's going to roll out. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know, man. In the end, I agree with you. I still think it's going to go through. I hope it's done by summer. But I in opposition to you, I think this stuff is fascinating. I always think it's interesting seeing how businesses compete with one another. Because here's the other part. Like, I know we like to say that this is Jim Ryan and not Bezos. He's on Amazon anymore. But like we like to think it's these big guys doing this. It's not. These are legal departments arguing back and forth. These guys probably are friends, right? These guys probably go have breakfast at McDonald's and get a $1.62 coffee together and laugh about how they're worth billions of dollars. Like, this is a game. It's a game at a very high level that we're just not part of that world. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how this plays out. I always like seeing new stuff. And, Bacon, I appreciate you putting this in the notes. I'll stop there.
Let's move on from the acquisition talk to Game Pass talk. We're going to just kind of flow right into it. Speaking of Game Pass, guys, there was a recent article or a recent statement that came out, Bacon, that basically says Microsoft admitted that when games are in Game Pass, they're selling less games. To me, we don't even need to talk about that, because why would I buy a game if it's in Game Pass? Yes, I could see first-party games. I'm not going to buy Forza Horizon or Starfield or Halo because it's in Game Pass. That, of course, it's not going to sell more. Other games, I don't go into Game Pass thinking it's not. I see Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, I'm not going to buy that. I'll wait until it's Game Pass. I don't really think like that. Like, I will buy a game if it's on sale eventually. I'm not anticipating every game to come to Game Pass, because not every relationship works. Sometimes it's beneficial for a game to be there. Sometimes it's absolutely not beneficial to be in there. But I did want to state that first. So yes, this makes sense to me. Of course, game sales are probably going to be less on your platform for certain games if they're in Game Pass. I want to flip that, though. So I saw this interesting tweet. Jose, did you want to say something really quick?
Well, do the tweet first. I can build it into my thing.
So
Later.
Mike Rose tweeted this out, and I saw this response. Somebody had retweeted it. They work for No More Robots, a studio, and we published Descenders, Hypnospace, Outlaw, Let's Build a Zoo, and various other games. All right. So he works at the studio, and he had this interesting tweet that I wanted to point out and just dig into here. Every time Game Pass is in the news, my Descenders search fills with mentions of people on both sides trying to explain why Descenders is proof of their own claim about Game Pass. And every single time, oh boy, do I learn that gamers do not understand how video games work at all. All I can say is we're aiming to get every single title we publish from now on onto Game Pass. In doing so, we'll secure success for each title and relieve immense pressure for the devs. But please, gamers, continue to explain why it is bad for us. And Jose, you'd mentioned this earlier. This is kind of like a discussion that, shout out to PS Trophy Room, Joe and Kyle had. And I thought it was actually this week's episode. They had a great discussion saying how Game Pass is great for some people. It's not great for others. It all depends. But either way, devs are getting paid and they are making the deal too. It's not like, hey, Descenders, can we have your game? We're not going to pay you for it. Like, they're getting support from Microsoft and through our Game Pass subscription, which we are paying Microsoft for. So, Jose, take it away on this tweet and what your thoughts are on Game Pass in general. And then I'm going to dig in a little bit more about why I am a fan of Game Pass. And we're going to talk about that.
You're a fan?
I am a
I'm
huge
shocked.
fan. Shout out to Colin Moriarty. He's like, I don't understand why. Sorry, Colin said, I don't understand why people would be a fan of a service. Oh, Colin, I'm about to tell you why I'm a fan of Game Pass. So go ahead, Jose.
So a couple of just quick thoughts. One is when this came out, some context for people. The quote that so here's what happened on the internet. This thing got this whole rebuttal to this whole thing with the CMAs and all of the Activision thing got published. from Microsoft about all kind of their bullet points, and there was one paragraph in it that stated that Microsoft admitted that this is actually not good for game sales, right? Like game sales. And immediately people have latched onto that, right? And I'm not trying to get into like the console war right now, but a couple of context strings. One thing, that quote was from 2018, right? And so, you know, it is possible that things have changed. We're 5 years out from that, right? But the reality is everyone that has Game Pass, including all the people that have games on Game Pass, know that that's the case. Like Dan just said, we know that they're not selling as many games because they're on Game Pass, because why would you necessarily buy it if it's free? We have also established on our past shows that people still do buy games.
Free with subscription.
Sometimes they buy games that have left Game Pass, right? Because it's not there anymore and I loved it, I'm going to buy that game. Sometimes people buy it even though it's currently on Game Pass to support devs, right? Because again, as fans of this industry, we understand that money talks, right? And that's how you keep things going. And the other part of this that I think is very important, and I'll pass it to Dan and Bacon, is I don't know if we're going to talk about the Psychonauts thing. If I hope we do it a future episode, but I've been watching the show about how Psychonauts first got developed into the game. I just watched the first episode. I think it's a really cool visual understanding of what it is like to make a game that's brand new, not to make the next Call of Duty or Mario or a standardized IP, like even like a Hogwarts Legacy, because that's based off of an established IP, right? To make a brand new game in the gaming space, whether it's for PlayStation or Nintendo or for Xbox, is an incredibly challenging experience, because it's between just like the cool ideas, but level design, coding, character design, writing, right? And all of that takes time and all of that takes money. And what Game Pass has really done, the reason why I'm a big fan of it, like for myself, of course, it's to play games. But the reason why I'm a fan of it is because from what we've heard from a lot of companies and developers is that once you have once that's your platform, once you are part of the Microsoft team, it creates a lot of freedom in what you do. Right. And so this is what we talked about, like Hi-Fi Rush, we've talked about a ton, right? Like, would we have gotten that game if they were trying to provide their own capital and getting their own VC? I don't know, man. You know, like at some point they were, I think it was also Joe and Kyle. And if it wasn't, I apologize. They're saying now that the estimated number of copies that a game has to sell to be viable for a company is 10 million.
Jeff Grubb.
You have to sell. It was Jeff Grubb. Thank you. You have to sell 10 million copies of a game. How many ideas, no offense, are worth 10 million copies? Not that many, right? And so in essence, if we want games to continue coming out, we have to change that model. And I get that it's scary, right? Like the other part of this that I'm not talking about is that when Microsoft controls your capital, your funding, they get a say at the table. Like that's just the nature of how these transactions work. And I think that innate fear is that while Microsoft right now seems pretty positive and supportive and like under Phil and Sarah and Greenie and all them, like it seems like it's a very great place for development. They won't live forever. They won't stay in that spot forever. And the fear is that if this thing becomes too big, then all of a sudden developers and companies don't get their ideas anymore. They have to kind of adhere to like the corporate desires, you know what I'm saying? And so I understand that. But again, I think the other side of this is that without this kind of funding, I don't know if we'll see small games anymore. Like it's too expensive and it's too much of a glutted market at this point to like deal with that. So anyway, I've talked a ton. I want to hear from Bacon. I want to hear from Dan. What do you guys think?
Go ahead. What was your reaction to this quote and the whole Game Pass? You don't sell as many games because of Game Pass.
So quick question to the fans. Do you think that sales of Stranger Things is affected by it being in Netflix? Does that affect the sales of Stranger?
Nope. Because how many people will go out and buy Stranger Things on disc? Can you even do that? I'm thinking about it.
I don't think you can. Maybe
I'll look it up. Keep going.
Like it's the model. It's the model that is.
That's a really great point, by the way, Bacon, because I didn't even think about series that we like what's the other one? Squid Games. Does that matter that I can't go out and buy that right now? I mean, but to be fair, Bacon, these are TV shows. It's not the same as video games, but go ahead.
Right, and they're funded by Netflix or they're funded by Amazon or stuff like that.
HBO.
Right. I'm just looking at it right now. I'm playing Hot Wheels Unleashed in Game Pass. I fired it up. Achievements are pretty easy. Is that a game I ever would have purchased? Probably not. But when I got a few minutes here or there and I want to try to grab an Achievo, I'm playing that. Atomic Heart, I probably wouldn't buy that either until I saw reviews or heard or saw it come on a sale. And the funny thing is Game Pass is one thing that my wife never hassles me about, that coming out of the bank account every month. She never, because she sees every time she comes home from work on my days off, I'm in here playing
Incredible
something
value,
new.
the best value in gaming, they say.
And because she loves you.
She does. Let's be real here, guys. She does love me. I just, it's just, again, it's more ammunition for the console war, and that, and it does allow for smaller indies to be discovered, like Descenders. I played it in Game Pass. I like it, and I think Mr. Rose here wins the internet for this, saying he wants to put every single game they've ever made on Game Pass. Come on. Water's warm. Bring them all in. We love playing new games. That's about it, Dan. Back to you.
And just to kind of close this segment off and then go on to the next one, I just want to say this. And even if games are selling less on Microsoft or on Xbox or any subscription service, should we even care about that? Is that our problem? No. Shouldn't we just be concerned about the content? If a game is so good to pay $70 for, I'll pay the $70. Like but people need to convince me. And Jose, we've talked about this before. Even if Game Pass was to end for some reason, who cares? I had a great time with my time with Game Pass. I felt like it was worth every single penny, and I probably should have paid triple the amount easily for it. So as a gamer, it only benefits me to have subscription services like Game Pass, like PS Plus, whatever, extra premium console, trophy, platinum, gold, whatever they call it. And it's not, I don't care if a game costs a certain amount or doesn't cost a certain amount, or if they're not selling well. That's up to them to make a game appealing to me. So Jose, go ahead. Closing thoughts.
Just two things. Fun fact: you can buy Stranger Things on DVD. Just looked it up. You get seasons 1 through 4 for like $40. But here's what I would say about this. The other part you have to remember is the historical context. I know I bring that up all the time. When we were kids, and you got your birthday money, right? And your mom and dad takes you to GameStop or Electronic Boutique or Toys R Us or whatever it was, and you're like, I'm going to buy a game. While it was a fine system at the time, it was incredibly inefficient, right? Because as a kid, especially, like, you're not reading the news, you didn't have the internet, at least we didn't at the time, right? So there's no way to know what is a great game. You are basically judging your game either on what your friend told you, if they played it first, or the box art.
Or
like, that's
Nintendo
basically
Power.
how you chose. If it was a Nintendo
magazine,
game, yes. Magazine. But it was incredibly inefficient, because if you spend all your money and it was a crappy game, you probably didn't finish it, and you don't have enough money to get another game, because even if you resell it, you don't have enough to get the cover of the full cost, right? That is the beauty of this system, because even though you can still buy physical discs today, a lot of people have moved away from it. Some not. Some are purists, and some just like the aesthetic of it. Some people just want to preserve the history. All of that is fine. But for the average gamer like us, this is such an incredible deal, because you do the basic simple math. 2 games is going to cost you $150 basically, right? 2 games today. That is more than what you pay for a year's worth of Game Pass. And in that system, like Bacon said, you can pick up a game, and if you love it, awesome, finish it, get 1,000 out of 1,000. And if you don't, play it for 10 minutes and delete it, and no worries, right? And that's the beauty of what it is for publishers too, because in that old system, when you're a kid, if you as a publisher didn't do the right marketing, you chose the wrong colors, you didn't get enough interviews out there, you were dead in the water. Where in Game Pass, it just takes the right people to find you, because you're already funded. You see what I'm saying? It's really more about getting that kind of long-term contract. And yeah, it's still a problem, and it still creates its own stress and that kind of stuff, but it really seems like a pretty good system, man. And there's evidence by like streaming of all kinds of stuff, right? We obviously, for shows, they also have streaming services for like software on computers. Like, this is not something I think that's necessarily going anyway soon. You know what I mean? Just to be honest with you. So anyway, that's my final thoughts.
Sorry, let's close up that quote here, moving into why I love Game Pass. And I just want to explain why I'm a fan of the service and what it provides me. And I do want to preface this by saying I'm a huge fan of everything at Last Stand Media. I'm a patron of them. I support Sacred Symbols. You've seen the shirt on the show. I have a not defining Duke. I have a knockback shirt. I don't always agree with what Colin and the boys, Chris and Dustin, say over there, especially, well, mostly just Colin sometimes, because I don't feel like it's fair because he doesn't play on Xbox. So sometimes I'm just like, Colin, you're a funny guy, and like you don't know what you're talking about. I have to preface that because in case somebody clips this and I go viral, Bacon. All right. So I want to say I'm a huge fan. Like I created this podcast because of them and Kind of Funny and PS Trophy Room. But anyway, one thing that really, really made me mad, Bacon, one day is he said, "How can you be a fan of Game Pass or a fan of a service?" And I did some numbers just for this year, guys. Let's just have some fun. This is why I'm a fan of Xbox Game Pass. That's what this segment is going to be, okay? So, in 2023, these are the games coming to Game Pass that I personally am planning on playing, okay? I'm going to tell you. Oh, lost connection, but it's back. I'm going to tell you the name of a game that I would play and how much I would have paid for it. Let's say if I bought all these games at half price. Okay. If I waited and played these at half price. So here you go. Hi-Fi Rush, $30. GoldenEye, $5. Atomic Heart, $30. Wolong Fallen Dynasty, $30. The Last Case of Benedict Fox, $20. Redfall, $30. Flintlock Siege of Dawn, $20. Forza Motorsport, $30. Hollow Knight Silksong, $20. Lies of P, $30. Replaced, $20. Stalker 2, $30. Starfield, $30. Ghostwire Tokyo, which I forgot about, $20. Again, we're assuming I'm spending half or possibly less. The total, if I bought all these games at an assumed half price or less, is $315 is what I would have spent on these games. Again, at half price, waiting for them to go on sale. If I were to pay the price for just 3 games, not including the others I wanted to play, so this would most likely be Redfall, Forza, and Starfield, that's $70 a game. That's $210 before tax. Okay. If I was to pay full price for all of these games, let's say I was like, I'm just going to buy them day one. That is $690. And I'm assuming I might have underestimated on some of those. Okay. $690 US on games. My 12 months of Game Pass, which I didn't pay full price on because I stacked this whenever it was on sale before in the early days. But let's say I did pay full price, is $180 for Game Pass Ultimate. Let's just say that I spent $20. Let's say they jack up the price and it goes up to $20. That's still only $240 for the year. Okay. So again, we're working.
And realistically, they're going to drop the family plan, which means you're going to pay less because we're going to split the
okay,
cost.
But let's just say I stick with it and I'm paying $180 a year. Okay. And I was going to only buy 4 of these games: Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, Forza, Starfield. That's $250. So instead, I spent $180 on Game Pass, and that still leaves me with $70 left over to buy Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I do plan on doing. Taking it a step further, $690 minus $180 for Game Pass. That's $510 I hypothetically could still spend that I'm saving, right, on these games. So that these games aren't first party or in Game Pass. Like, I want to buy Resident Evil 4. I want to buy Jedi Survivor, $70. I bought Bloodborne, $10. I bought Demon Souls, $30. Maybe buy Spider-Man 2, $70. Diablo 4, I'm going to buy $70. Sea of Stars, $40. The Last of Us Part 2, $10. That would equal $370 spent on games of that remaining money that I didn't spend on full price for all those games. And I would still have $140 left over to get to that $500 and whatever dollars I said earlier to spend on 2 $70 full price games. Tell me, as a consumer, why I would not be a fan of Game Pass being on my Xbox. Jose, what do you think of these numbers I just threw at you?
No, man. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think that was a great way to explain all this, man. And man, it makes me super pumped for 2023. Like, holy cock, there's so much great stuff coming out. The other part I just want to add it's not all about money. Don't get me wrong. That's a huge
Oh yeah,
part
exactly.
of it. Like,
That's
a huge
not
part
even
where we have-
like these are games that I wouldn't have played otherwise because they're on Game Pass.
That's what I'm saying, is that the other benefit of it is that the discovery element, which Bacon has already hit on, and the fact that it makes gaming feel fun again as a person, where it doesn't feel stressful that I got to buy only the AAA games because I know those are worth my money. I can just try stuff and you find stuff. And what is really awesome is in between these big releases, right? In between, while we played Hi-Fi Rush, and now that we're kind of in this lull while we're waiting for, whatever
Well,
comes
you
here
weren't.
in
I mean,
February.
you went
Potentially.
to Dead Space right away. I haven't even been doing.
Well, I did for Dead
Right.
Space, but even now that that's done, right? Because and I passed it to Bacon. Like then it's like I kind of want to explore what's in the store, and like that is really what's awesome here, man. Is that it makes gaming fun and exciting again, and there's really stuff for all levels. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the hardcore AAA titles that are giant open worlds with a billion things to do in 100+ hours. There are also games that are like 4 hours long, man. Like you pick your poison, you have some fun. Like it is just. I think it's a really great system, and to hear that developers really are liking it, at least like the one we saw on Twitter, makes me feel better too. I'll be honest with you, Bacon. What do you think, man?
Well, of that list of games you just named off, there's not one game that I don't plan on not completing. That list you just named off is absolutely banger. But you did forget Minecraft Legends.
Well, see, but I didn't put that on there, Bacon, because I don't plan on playing that. So you're right. Somebody else might find value in that. But yeah, these were games that I for sure am going to play this year that I would have played whether or not it was on Game Pass.
Right. And then you also forgot that you're not going to spend $70 on Jedi Survivor because we get 10% off EA Play. So we're spending $63 on it. I can't.
That's a burrito right there, bud.
Overestimated on everything. So yeah, go ahead. Yes, the savings are insane.
I can't wrap my head around what the hate would be. Everyone's always like, it's not financially viable for Microsoft.
Who cares? Is that our problem? Company. Is that our problem, Jose?
It's a $2 trillion company. Like pocket watching, one of the largest corporations on the face of the earth. If Satya Nadella keeps signing the checks and giving Phil Spencer the money, investors must be seeing something they like. So it's pocket watching Microsoft. It's that's it. I'm done.
Go ahead, Jose. Let's close it up here. One
last point I want to make too, and if just in case you do get this clipped and going viral, which I think is very unlikely, but let's just say it does. I'm also very happy for the PlayStation subscribers as well. I need to make that very clear.
I'm happy for them getting PS Plus extra.
This is not a Game Pass thing. This is a service thing that, like, look, man, this is clearly a model that is really working in today's world. And that doesn't mean it will work forever. It doesn't. But it is really great for us as a gamer on Xbox. I think it's really dope that it's working for the gamers on PlayStation 2. They seem to really like it, man. And some of the stuff they were releasing this month, I was like, shit, that's a language. That's a great deal, man. I'm happy for that.
And
right?
to add to that,
I hope
quickly
Steam looks into this. You know what I mean? Like, this is a great idea.
They do it differently. Like Forbidden West was just added, right? It's been out a year. So, but for me, I do have PS Plus, but I don't have the extra tiers to access those games. But it is enticing to be like, oh, I could play that. I could play Miles, and I can play Return of these games that I missed out on PS Plus Extra.
$10,
Bloodborne as well, which I didn't, or The Last of Us. I don't think it's on there yet, but it probably will be eventually, both of them. But like, yeah, that's I think that is positive for them. I'd rather just spend the $10-20 on there because I don't play my PlayStation very often, so it's not worth it for me to be a part of PS Plus Gold, Platinum, Trophy level or whatever. So sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I agree. I think it's beneficial for anybody who wants to use it on either side.
No, that's it. I'm done.
But
Bacon?
As an extra subscriber on PlayStation, I got 104 days
left
on my subscription.
Is that what it's called? Extra? You're on extra?
It's extra, so I got
which I do think is the
R-Type,
best of their tiers. But how much is that?
For $100. It's $100. And if you pay monthly, it's $120. So for $100, I'm already paying $60 for cloud saves.
Yeah,
so
I hate
for an
that.
extra $40. For an extra $40, I play a lot of games in it, and I do plan on resubscribing to the extra tier for $100 again next year because I just never know what's going to drop in there, something that I want to play. I don't play my PlayStation a lot, but one, I want to help show Sony that if you give us something we're going to enjoy, I'm going to support it, just like I support Game Pass, and I stand on my hill and scream, Game Pass rules. Do I prefer Game Pass over PS Plus Extra? Absolutely, I do, but Horizon, I don't care for the first game. Maybe the second one's going to be better, so I'm going to play it. but I will always champion more value for the consumer,
Exactly.
and that is exactly what they both are.
Exactly. And I think as gamers, we should feel guilty for wanting more value for the money we spend on either of these
Yeah.
platforms. So I'm glad you said that. And you're right. The main draw for me, the initial reason why I signed up for Game Pass was the first party games. Like usually every year I'm going to buy your Forza Motorsport, your Forza Horizons, your Halo, your Gears, and that's when I thought, well, if I'm going to spend let's say they were $60 at the time, 3 games, that's $180. Why would I do that instead of just having Game Pass? And then Game Pass has continued to grow and the value has gotten insane now. I think they have to raise the price, honestly. But now I get all these other benefits with all these games that I didn't think about, like Jose said, where you get the benefit of the discoverability. Like that is so huge. I've played so many games that were on Game Pass where I would not have normally played them because they were on the system. So that these other day one drops and indie games, everything that's not first party, they've all been a bonus to me. And so I am sincerely thankful to Game Pass. My gaming money spent has usually gone down because I'm not buying games at full price. And if I do buy a game at full price, it's because I've saved money on Game Pass. Like that's what I was trying to say. Because I'm saving so much money not buying these first party games or games I was planning on playing and they're in Game Pass, I do have that extra money to spend on other games instead of having to make a sacrifice. Like, hey, do I play Resident Evil or Starfield? I'm gonna have to go with Starfield and wait until Resident Evil's on sale. Oh, with Game Pass, I can do both. Or Star Wars Jedi and Lies of P. Which one do I play? I get to play both of them because one is on Game Pass and I'm going to save money on the other. Like Bacon said, it will only be $67 for Star Wars. So shout out to Game Pass. Shout out for Xbox for giving us these options. And shout out for Xbox for uh, forcing some change into PlayStation as well, because on that side, like Jose said, they are getting the benefit of a subscription service. And I bet a lot of people over there like it as well. So that is why we are fans of Game Pass. Let's go on to some quick news, some fun news to close the show here or close the news segment. I just wanted to share this, guys, and get your takes on this. I don't know if any of you are going to check this out. Benji Sales, he does these roundups for reviews, and I just want to share these. And shout out to Shinobi. He does the same thing. I've seen this going around. Wild Hearts reviews. Wild Heart came out. Is it out? Bacon? I don't know if it's out sometime this week. Gaming Trend 90 out of 100. God is Geek 9. Press Start 8.5. IGN 8. GameSpot 8. Shack News 8. Push Square 8. Games Radar Plus 4 out of 5. Attack of the Fanboy 4 out of 5. Gameblog 7. PC Gamer 63 out of 100. Metacritic right now is sitting at 80. Open Critic 80. Did anyone draft Wild Hearts? I don't think any of us did.
No, not in ours.
Does
no.
this interest either of you guys? None of us, I don't think, played what was the Capcom one, Monster Hunter. Anybody
Monster
have
Hunter.
interest in this game, Jose or Bacon, or no? Or is this a pass for you guys?
Well, we can all play it right now with our EA Access trial when it comes out. But another benefit of Game Pass, what I've listened to a lot of reviews of this thing today, and it is apparently a terribly performing game right now.
Really?
The PC is just it's terribly optimized. Hopefully they can fix it. There's a bunch of shimmer issues and stuff like that. And I guess the console version isn't as great either, but they say that the gameplay is actually really fun. And once you get through it, I did download Monster Hunter Rise and played about 20 minutes and said, not for me, and got rid of it. Another benefit of Game Pass, because I did pay for the last Monster Hunter that came out. I bought that and I didn't like it. And I was like, there goes $60 and traded it back in like a day later. And
Game Pass.
So I don't know why I tried Rise, but it's just not for me. But I might try this.
Jose, what about you?
Maybe.
I mean, right now, no.
Yeah, what were you thinking about
playing?
playing? Oh, you're getting Hogwarts. That's right.
I'll talk about that when we get to gaming. But I think it looks cool. Like, I like the art style. I still have not played Monster Hunter Rise, and I do want to do that as well, even though I don't know if I'm going to get all the way through. I mean, Bacon and I think have a lot of similar tastes in games, so hearing his review doesn't give me a ton of hope. But I want to respect it and try it. I know it's a big phenomenon. So back to Wild Hearts, maybe down the road, if it sticks on Game Pass for a while, or if it like goes away and comes back at some point, like I would be happy to check it out then, but probably not buying it at this point. No.
And then the last quick story for the week, and I always struggle with this game, you guys. Sea of Thieves tweeted out, whether you're completing voyages or finishing fights, this set of Halo-inspired gear will make sure you look masterful while doing whatever you're doing, regardless of how well you're doing it. The Infinite Depths cosmetics are available from the Pirate Emporium now, and there's a trailer, and there's some sweet Halo swag. And honestly, guys, I kind of just want to jump into Sea of Thieves and buy this with my imaginary coins that I somehow have or don't have. Um, Bacon, I'm always intrigued by Sea of Thieves, and I try to play it. But then I jump in, I'm like, man, this game is so beautiful. I can't wait to go on an adventure. And then I quit like 5 minutes later, being like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to go. This combat is kind of boring. And yet there are millions and millions of people who play and love and adore this game. It's probably one of Xbox's biggest hits. I just don't get it. I feel like, I don't know. Bacon, talk to me. I'm probably going to go buy this. I'm not going to lie to you guys just because I need to have Halo gear for my pirate that I'll never play. Should this be our new games as a service, Bacon, or are we going back to Destiny Lightfall?
No.
Yeah, you have to play this game in a party with friends. It's just not something you can play on your own. I mean, you can. It's just not going to be any fun. I did the Jack Sparrow DLC.
I did that first mission. I'm like, this is kind of cool. This is what I wanted. I wanted a campaign, but then I haven't gone back. I've only done that first mission.
I know people that have thousands of hours in this game, and it's fun. And I remember playing with my brother, and we're down on the hull of the ship drinking grog and getting drunk and puking in each other's faces, and we were just laughing like we were 6 again. But I mean, is it gonna be for us because the shooting is so floaty and bad? And it's just more about the sandbox and having fun with your friends. Now, this Halo integration, I'm not sure I would ever see this coming. But cool.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with the cosmetics in the game.
Is it them, trying to take a page out of Fortnite with all their crossovers and additions, and and Halo fans are going to download it to get the Halo stuff because we love Halo. So I don't currently have it downloaded, but I guess with all the patches and more content, it is a beautiful game. The water and the high seas,
to this day, it's top notch.
It's just so super frustrating to have completed a mission and you're going to take your booty back to drop it off, and you completely get dominated by some team of people who know what they're doing, and they sink your boat, and 3 minutes later you're like, what happened?
Exactly. That's what I didn't like. Is like you spend all this time, and even if you did get back, they're like, here's 80 coins. I was like, are you
you're like, really? That was a lot of sailing for 80 coins.
Jose, any closing thoughts on this, or are you good on Sea of Thieves?
I mean, I enjoyed Sea of Thieves, and for the record, Dan, when it came out, we had a great time. Playing with like Goose and stuff. All of us, we did have a good time for a couple of months.
But you need it. You do need a crew. Like, especially, I liked it because Goose, he had played a bunch with his buddies. Remember, and he was like, he took charge. I'm like, I'll follow you. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm having a blast. Sailing and doing the little clues. He's like, oh, it's over here. But yeah, go ahead. Shout out to Goose, by the way.
The other thing is that, while it's not for me, I'm really happy that they're doing this. I always love the crossovers. And honestly, it makes me just the tiniest bit sad because imagine if it was the opposite. Imagine if in Halo, they brought in Sea of Thieves cosmetics for your Spartan. Man, that would be super dope. And it feels like we're never going to get that right now.
Maybe they're setting it up. Maybe.
Like a pirate themed Spartan dude, like peg legs and stuff. God, that would be so sick.
Maybe this is a hint.
Maybe. I know it could be. Maybe.
All right, guys,
that'd be rad. But anyway,
that has been the Xbox news for the week. We are going to jump into a fun topic here, brought to you by the Iron Lords podcast that Bacon was listening to. Shout out to the Iron Lords, and we are going to talk about a hypothetical question that Bacon wanted to share. Well, he shared with us that he, again, stole from the Iron Lords. Bacon got this idea from them, and it said, if you were going to a deserted island and can only take one console and 3 games with you, what would they be? And we added on to this we modified a little bit. You are limited to 1 terabyte of data for the download size of all the games combined, and the games will continue to receive updates indefinitely. So does anyone want to go?
But the data can't be for multiplayer. It's for updates.
Why not? What if there are new maps? I attribute
That was the whole point of the question. That was the whole point of the
I
question.
think it can apply for a multiplayer game.
Bacon, you tell us. You were the king of this.
It should.
I'd like to assume that it wouldn't be for multiplayer, and you got to really.
Well, then how can we play multiplayer games?
Favorite game.
It's not supposed to
Can
be
we
for
play
multiplayer
multiplayer games?
Yeah, but you can't
Okay, fine.
play it online.
My counter argument would be, boys, how many games are updated indefinitely? I guess Fortnite would probably be the one you realistically should choose because that's
multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm saying, but that could be a game you could pick. It didn't say you can't pick a multiplayer game. You can play online.
No, but the whole point of Bacon's question was like you're trying to pick a game that's not a multiplayer game that you'd want to play forever. That's the point of the question. Yeah, he said it right there.
Okay, so why can't play any multiplayer games is what you're now telling me, because you didn't say that. That was not clear in your statement.
He did say that.
I think it was implied with the little bit of data just for getting so some 5G coverage or whatever for getting updates or system updates for your console.
If we can get system updates, we should be able to play online. But anyway,
I mean, you do you interpret it the way you want. My interpretation is I need to pick three games.
And I quote, if you were going to be to a desert island and could only take one console when you only had three games, what would they be? You only get 1 gigabyte of data, which was clearly intended not to be multiplayer.
The whole 1 gigabyte of data threw me off. I didn't understand that.
It's because then you can't ever do multiplayer. You're basically talking like patches.
Well, you can't download a game with 1 gigabyte of data.
They're already on the console, but it's a magical island. This island has a console that runs.
So you tell me,
man.
And it has a TV.
Can I play I'm going to assume that you can play multiplayer, but it can't be updated. Is that okay, Bacon?
It's your island.
I'm assuming I still have internet and I can play multiplayer.
This isn't an official
basically
list.
Dan's basement.
Correct. So here are the 3 games. I'll start off how I interpreted this random hypothetical question. Actually, Jose, you said you knew my games, so I'd like to hear them. What were my games?
It was Mass Effect. It was Mass Effect. That was
that's
the game.
One
I
game.
thought it was one game.
3. What do you think my other 2 would be?
Master Chief Collection is probably a second. And Peppa the Pig, 3rd.
Incorrect. Jose, to get 2 out of 3. The last one, and I've been thinking about this game nonstop. And honestly, I kind of wish I was playing it right now. I've been watching build videos on YouTube. I cannot stop thinking about it. Elden Ring has made the jump into the 3 games I would have to bring with me on a deserted island. So Elden Ring, the combat, the endless dungeons that I haven't been to, the endless builds I could create with that, the amazing combat. Elden Ring is up there. That might be number 1, to be honest with you guys, which is shocking. This game just came out. And then I would say I love Mass Effect and the Legendary Edition. That gives me a third-person game. I love the stories. I will say, though, playing it again recently for the 500th time, I was like, this is aged a little. It's a little rough, but I would probably bring Mass Effect. Let's be real. And then the last one, if I could still, I would need a multiplayer game so I could still play something with someone. And I think even if this game wasn't updated, but the servers were still online, I still think there would be people playing. It would be Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Again, that's giving me Halos 1 through 4 in there. I don't know if you'd include ODST or Reach, which they are in there now, so I'm going to include it. That's pretty good multiplayer that I can enjoy. I would miss Halo Infinite and the grapple shot, the movement, and the potential of Forge in that. But do I think Halo Infinite is going to live on forever after the recent news we've had? Probably not. Maybe before that would have been my pick, but concerning. So, Jose, why don't you tell us the 3 games you would choose on a deserted island?
All right. So, Chipotle Bear did his homework correctly because that's what I've done my entire life.
For interpretation, incorrect.
Nope. So I chose, for the record, for the audience, 3 games that basically were not multiplayer, or if they have a multiplayer function, it would not exist on this island. So, look, I'm stuck with these games forever until I die. I did choose Elden Ring, which I was surprised about, but I was like really trying to think through like strategically. I need a game that's big, right? I need a game that's super long.
That's what she said.
right? I also need something that has like a lot of classes, and like Elden Ring is a really great game for that. Like I would love to play Elden Ring a ton. I'd love to get all the nooks and crannies. I'd be like JBiz, right? Like JBiz would be
He's
living in heaven
still
doing this,
going,
right?
folks. 1,000 hours in Elden Ring. I made that number up, but he's got to be close. Go ahead.
Okay.
The other two, I thought one of them was I really thought about was in left field pick for me because I played it very little. Minecraft. I would choose Minecraft because I think it's something that I probably would really be able to get into. The people that love Minecraft do love it, but they've also put in thousands of hours. So I thought that would be a good choice. It'd give me a lot of creativity, and I think I could have some fun with it. And then the last one, I needed something just out of left field to just like Elden Ring is stressful and Minecraft is like very thought intensive. So I needed something just light. I chose the Cowabunga collection because I wanted to pick Turtles in Time, right? Because I would love to play that game forever and ever and ever. But then I was like, why not just pick the collection? And now I have all these games of nostalgia. I could master them, right? Like, so if I ever was rescued on the island, I could go back in time to like an 80s arcade and just crush that first game and look like a god in that arcade. So those are my three choices. Bacon, what about you, bud?
So I'm assuming both of you chose the Series X as your console.
Oh, yeah, of course.
choice.
Yeah. Okay.
So me, I was really torn. I did want to just take the
Your PC?
NES.
Oh, your NES.
Nope, the NES. I didn't want any drama with updates. I didn't want any, dashboard freezes. You stick the cartridge in, but I'd get sand in the cartridge. I was going to go with Mario, the gold Zelda, and then Blaster Master. But then I realized I needed to
Horrible
play
choices.
my favorite game of all
Nostalgia
time.
would not carry you.
I disagree.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
I accept it.
But I did finally land back on the Series S or the Series X because I want those load times when I'm on a desert island. And I went with, this one's going to get you boys. I went with Ori and the Will of the Wisps as
Great
my
game.
third choice. I love platformer.
It's a great game.
The
Blind
life of that
Blind
game.
Force was better, but go ahead.
No, it wasn't. Second place, I did go.
I got a cramp.
I want a lot of content, so I did go with the Master Chief Collection. I can play through all those, change the difficulties, find all my skulls, and then number one reason why it would have to be my favorite game of all time, and that is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I just started another playthrough on PC. And I'm finally doing a mail ship. And I did this because Mike started playing it finally. I got him to start
deja vu.
And so all I've heard him do is complain about the jank in one, and he can't find his way around the Citadel.
Just get through. Help him.
Right. I said,
help him.
Just do the main story quest in the first. The second's when you're really going to dive into everything. And I'm trying to play along with him. And he's like, where's this person located? I'm like, well, go take a left and then go up the stairs. And the Citadel did need work on their navigation. But
worst part of the game. Goose he never left, Bacon. He got lost in there. He didn't even know to leave in the beginning.
So that would be my list in Mass Effect. I mean, you can do how many different playthroughs of Mass Effect with different.
I could finally do the
Sentinel and
the really bad ones. F. Shepard died too. Man, what a great collection, guys. Great idea there, Bacon, and actually Iron Lords. I would say I was thinking about this. Maybe one I would, if I could add one, or if you forced me to remove one, I was thinking maybe I'd include Madden. Because I loved playing Madden up until not too long ago. And it's having a franchise go forever. It's a completely different genre. But to be fair, I haven't played Madden in probably like 3 years now, which is sad. Because like I said, I used to play it every year. I was a diehard Madden guy. I loved everything about it. And then I've just kind of outgrown it, which is sad. So, and football in general. But great question. I mean, I like how Bacon, I was kind of thinking like you, like I had to have, or Jose, maybe you said this, different genres, like Elden Ring is that third person action RPG. I wanted to have a shooter, so I felt like Halo had to be on there. And then Mass Effect, third person shooter again, but the storytelling in that is phenomenal. So what a great question, guys. Let's talk about what we have been playing and or watching. And since I'm talking, I'll go ahead and go first here. I think I mentioned this before. I don't know if I officially said it, but yes, I'd beaten Hi-Fi Rush 5 out of 5. I finally beat it on hard. I told you I was having so much trouble with the pairing with the last guy. I seriously spent an hour and a half, you guys. And I think the problem is that when you parry, and I don't know why it didn't click, I think you have to do it to the beat, correct? That's where I was messing up. I was trying to do it to the
Yes, sir.
rhythm that they were showing me. Once I finally and I guys, I even had Allie come try to do it too. I'm like, "Allie, am I going effing crazy here?" And she tried to do it at the end too. She couldn't do it. She was like, "This is stupid." And just ran away because she's got some gaming skills with like Super Mario Brothers. Like I know she could do the timing thing. She was losing it. So I wasn't the only one losing it. I pulled her in, but I did beat it. I'm actually playing again on normal. I'm trying to get more collectibles. Just a fantastic game. I'm looking forward to Bacon's review, and I've tweeted about it. Just an absolute gem. Like Jose actually texted to the positivity in it also was incredibly well. I love that scene. I don't want to spoil it, but where he's listening to the music right at the end, and he's trying to break out of that shield.
You get
Oh
chills,
my
man.
god,
So
that was
good.
so good. And the level leading up to that, oh my god, just a great game. And then Bacon saw me and he was like, "What are you playing?" Or maybe it was Jose too. I'm playing Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. And this is from Inti Creates, I think is the studio. I think they're the guys, or some of them who left Castlevania, and they're just basically saying this is a Castlevania game, but it's not called Castlevania. Very fun, very not even super. This is a Nintendo looking game, 8-bit, simple platforming, simple combat. I'm really loving it. I played the first one and got 1,000 out of 1,000. I'm trying to get 1,000 out of 1,000 on this one, but we'll see. It's a little bit more difficult, so that's what I'm currently playing. And then last night, uh, Jose and Bacon was there too. We dropped into COD Ashika Island, and my impressions of that are I enjoy having the rebirth again. They got to give us some freaking shields. Like, I don't know what's going on in this island. I don't know if this was a purposeful
Armor plates.
game change. There are no shields on this island, so you cannot armor up, and it's really annoying. And why you don't automatically pick up plates whenever you walk over them, really annoying. Why are they not automatically equipped? I saw there was a bug fix today that supposedly addressed that. Still, there's a lot of work on the COD. So that is what I've been playing. Bacon, what about you?
I just finished Dead Space. Thanks you, Chapeau. Fantastic game. I didn't find it overly scary. It was more unsettling.
That's
Other than the
how I
few,
remember it on 360 too, when I played
right.
it just a
It's
couple
just,
years ago.
when the music would start coming up, you hear something dripping, and the music, you're like, someone's coming, or you go down a hallway, something's going to come out of the ceiling or through a vent. The only real scary parts are when the indestructible guy was chasing you, and you're trying to hit your button to see where you're supposed to go to escape him. You're like, he's coming, and I'm stopping, and I'm hitting I'm hitting my thumbstick to see where I'm supposed to go. Fantastic game. My buddy Mike also played it, and I was talking to him about being angry about having to get so many health packs and spending money on my health kits. And he says to me, he goes, "Why are you having so much trouble with health kits?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Mine regenerates." And I said, "What difficulty are you playing on?" And he says, "Story, because I wanted to play the story. So isn't that what I'm supposed to be on?" I'm like, he sells his health kits to buy ammo because he has an abundance of health kits. I'm like, "Oh, Mike, no, start the game over
There's
and do it on a
no
different
wrong
difficulty."
way to play. If he wants to play it on easy, that's fine, Bacon.
It was easy.
It's all part of the
Yeah.
experience, man.
Yeah, I did the final boss in one try. It took me 20 tries to get the final boss done. Then I've also, but I'd give it easily a 4 out of 5 on the scale for Dead Space. Badly needs a roll mechanic. A roll mechanic would have helped with that final boss big time. I'm back on The Last of Us. I'm at Bill's, and I do agree the interaction between Bill and Ellie kind of is important. So I see that aspect, even though it seems a little forced and
There's none
stuff like that.
in the show.
But
We'll talk about the show later.
in the game, in the game it seemed a little forced, but it is kind of important and it does make sense. So I definitely see your critique on that one, Dan. So I'm about to go to the school and deal with a big thing in there, I assume. And then
No spoilers, since it hasn't
been
played. You
playing
can't be talking about this. Remember, Jose is going to play it.
I
Don't.
tried. That was. And then we got a little bit further in Wolfenstein 2, and the more I play that game, and now I'm in New Orleans fighting, and the
What a
chick with the
game.
afro, and
What a game.
wow, that game is stacked, and it's incredibly fun. And then played a little bit of R-Type on PS5 because R-Type from the arcades is a classic, and I love it. And that's about. And I started watching Star Trek Picard on
No,
Paramount.
no one cares about
because
that.
I'm running out
Jose,
of
what
things
have
to
you
watch.
been playing?
Excuse me?
That's messed up, man.
We'll talk about
I love
Last
Star
of Us here in a
Trek.
second. We'll close with that. So go ahead, Jose. What have you been playing?
Um,
Oh wait, are you finished Dead Space 2? Are you working on a review, Jose?
So I'm almost done with my Callisto review. So for the record, I
That's
had
right,
a
Callisto.
1 minute Callisto
Yeah,
review.
why didn't you
review,
upload that
and
to
then
Shorts? Just tag Shorts on our
well,
channel.
because then you said you wanted us to do the full one, and I was like, okay. So
But-
I have my script is recorded. I've edited about half the video. I'm trying to get that done.
Jose, let me clarify.
And then
I
I will
want you to do the Shorts one too. I don't know why you wouldn't upload that.
Well, but it changed because I had more time to talk. Like when I only had the 60 seconds, I changed my review pretty significantly. And now that we have longer, I made
Can
a
you
longer
still
one
make
that
a
I will
short,
then
though?
condense. So, yeah, I would
Okay.
still make a short. I promise. It was a whole thing. Anyway, I'll finish that. I will make one for Dead Space as well. But spoiler, it's going to get a 5 out of 5 from me because I love those kind of games. I finished Dead Space, absolutely loved it. You know, Bacon's right. I don't think it's a scary game. I think it's very creepy and it is unsettling. There were a couple points where even playing it, I still was like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Kind of jump scares, but I love that stuff. I also finished Hi-Fi Rush. Man, what a fun game. I love the bosses, dude. Like Roquefort boss.
See, that would be my one critique, Jose.
So memorable, dude.
One critique, I would say, I wish there was a boss for every level. I really enjoyed the bosses, and the ones where you didn't have it, I was like, oh man, I wish there was a boss at the end of this. What do you guys think? Or did you think you were fine with the
No, I did. I thought it was a good pacing. I
Yeah.
also appreciated how different every
Yeah, I
level
did
was because I thought at the beginning it was gonna be a pure recipe of like level, mini boss, level, boss.
That
Like, I thought
elevator
that's what
one
it
was
gonna be.
pretty cool. Or the
Man,
whatever. Yeah. So no, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played it.
yeah, they did such a good job. So I really had a good time with that. I also
would you give it,
continued to play it a
Jose?
little bit more. I already told Bacon 5 out of 5 to include my score in his review. I played a little more with South Park, which is great, man. It is really fun. It's just a silly game. Like I'm laughing a lot, but it'll be something I play in between stuff. And then, so a tiny bit of like big news. I am having very small surgery tomorrow. I am having a vasectomy, not to be super
Small.
Ayo.
Oh,
But I will be basically bedridden for 2 to 3 days. And so I took the plunge. I actually bought it and downloaded it tonight. I bought Hogwarts Legacy. I was like, I've heard really cool reviews, man. And I know there's a lot of controversy. I'm not even going to get into all that.
I look forward
I
to
think
your
the game
review.
looks dope. We're reading it with my daughter right now. We're really
Oh.
loving the universe. And sorry that Rowling is not a great person, but
Alleged.
we're trying to enjoy it despite either way. So that'll be what I'm playing next. And then also in addition to Last of Us, which we'll talk about in a second, I also have been watching Succession on HBO, which is dope. And I started watching the show on Discovery Plus called Adam Eats the 80s. And it's basically the guy who used to do all those food challenges is now going and eating all these like 80s foods and talking about the history of foods in the 80s. It's pretty dope, dude. They did an episode on like a breakfast pizza that Domino's did in the 80s and stuff. Cool stuff to check out, man.
Very
So
cool.
very
To
nostalgic.
add to what I've been watching, guys, Vanderpump Rules is back on Bravo. In addition, Summer House is back. Man, there's so much to watch on Bravo. And Real Housewives of Jersey, man, you guys, I'm sucked into the drama. So that's what I've been watching. So let's talk about what else we've been watching. We have all been watching The Last of Us on HBO Max. Spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. I'll put it in the time code. If you don't want to listen to this, this is your warning to skip ahead. Spoilers for The Last of Us. We are 5 episodes in, guys. I think.
Yep, 5 episodes.
Honestly, so 3 was the Bill and Frank great episode. I think we all agreed on that.
Amazing episode. Not great.
Amazing
episode.
drama that I didn't anticipate. Phenomenal acting. Not at all. I shouldn't say anything. I don't want to spoil it for Jose, but it doesn't really follow the game there. 4, I kind of forget what happened. So that to me, that kind of says it's a filler episode. I believe they
got to St. Louis.
They got to St. Louis, yeah, and they crashed, right? Like that's
crashed,
about it.
yeah.
So not really memorable to me. Do you guys have any thoughts on episode 4?
Well, we meet like the Kansas City mob, and you know they're discovering what's going on in the city, and you have the teaser at the end about the ground that's like shaking.
Yeah, but not really. Not probably not one of the better episodes, right? Just kind of a filler.
I think the point of that one was
getting
more
them,
that
getting them to the.
Ellie and Joel were finally starting to create a rapport, a friendship, and you notice him when they were camping out that night that he started laughing at one of her bad dad jokes. You could just see that it's starting to build, some
relationship
sort of relationship,
again.
and she's no longer, just
Yeah.
cargo, and he'll still say that she's just cargo, but you can just see that he's starting to get a little bit of
And
attachment
then
to
the
her.
last episode was with Sam and Henry, which I don't want to spoil anything, but yes, Sam and Henry make an appearance in the game for either of you. So I'm not going to spoil that. I got to for you guys, and so you still have to play the game. Another, I actually would say that this was one of my more favorite episodes because we got to see some action. We got to see fighting the Kansas City crew and also fighting some actual infected
Clickers
and
and bloaters,
clickers
right?
and the bloater at the end there. I can't say too much about this because I'm comparing it to the game. But what did Jose? Let's start with you because you have no idea what's going on compared to the game. So what did you think of episode 5?
I mean, I'm enjoying every episode, man. I mean, I understand that the story is very Shakespearean in the sense that like there is a lot of loss, right? And there's a lot of like you think it's going to turn out right, and nope.
Yeah.
Right. And just in case
A lot
people
of
are
people are
listening that
dead.
didn't follow the spoiler warning, like I knew that going in about this game that it's a very sad game and it doesn't turn out the way that it should, right? So like even as they met Sam and Henry, I was like, oh, this isn't going to end well. I mean, I was still curious and enjoyed the process, right? But I knew that there was going to be a pretty simple ultimate outcome. I will say what was interesting when we watched it, me and Victoria were watching it and she fell asleep. And my kind of rule is if she falls asleep, I pause it where we're at because I want to watch it with her. We literally got to the point where they got out of the sewer and they were walking down the street and the dude started shooting from the window, paused. So like we were literally seconds
almost
away
to the
from all
end
that
of the
action
episode
happening.
too, really.
Yeah, it is pretty far in the episode. But dude, it's great, man. And again, I know I don't technically know the ending to the story, but I'm not a dumb guy. I understand really where this is all going. I just think it's very interesting the way they do it. And again, the reason I'm really impressed by it is because it's not just interesting to me because I know I have crap taste. It's interesting to my wife. It's interesting to my parents, right? It's interesting to a whole generation of people who still think video games are for kids. Right. And it's really showing the power of the gaming stuff. And I think it's only 8 episodes or it's either 8 or 9. So we've only got a couple more. You know what I'm saying? I know it's going to start ramping up pretty quickly here with some of the stuff. So I'm enjoying it, man. That's all I have to say. Bacon.
Before we go over to Bacon,
Go
Jose, I want to say I went back and watched the after credits where it shows Druckmann and I got to give a lot of credit. I think that writer has done a phenomenal job. Jose, you really shouldn't watch this because they compare it to the game and you're going to get some stuff spoiled. I'm asking you politely, please don't watch those, especially because you're so close to playing the game. You will be playing the game soon. Don't watch those, okay? Because they even said he's like, "Oh, I wish I would have wrote this way with Henry and Sam." So I guess I can say it. He's not deaf in the video game.
Oh yeah, I picked that up. He said that directly.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool how he was like, "Son of a bee, I wish I would have wrote that," because it did add to it. I will say that relationship, it did add another level to it, and I definitely felt more for them because he is even more dependent on his bigger brother for that storyline. But stop watching this. I'll continue to watch it. You can watch it when you finish the game, Jose. Especially because you haven't spoiled. Play the game, please. You're so close.
All right, I'll stop.
Bacon, you shouldn't watch them either because you're playing the game too. So go ahead. What did you think of episode 5?
I thought episode 5 was absolutely awesome. And since Chapo hasn't seen the last 10 minutes of that, I can't.
Wait, Jose?
No, I saw it.
We did see it.
Yeah, I know what happened.
The way that ended was just like my wife was like aghast. And it, and to go off your point, Chapo, that my wife absolutely loves it, and it actually. Another apocalyptic show. It reminds me of the early seasons of The Walking Dead when there was actually, before they completely jumped the shark.
That first season was so good. Of Walking
Dead.
And I think the first 3 were really good.
Right, even up to 3. It was compelling stories and character development before they started fighting aliens and.
Wait. Aliens are in The Walking Dead.
I'm just kidding.
You just spoiled it for me. Oh my gosh!
No, I was being facetious. I am enjoying the show more than the game. But you have to give credit to the game, which is the source material for the show. And yes, these HBO writers are adding their own touches to this thing
that are elevating it. I would say in some ways.
Right. I loved episode 3 when Bill was that story with basically no Joel and Ellie in it, except for the last 5 minutes. And that was such a fantastic episode of any TV that you've seen in a long time. I didn't know where that was going when they found him, when he found him in the hole, and I thought he was going to shoot him. But it's crazy how different it is from the game, but so similar to the game. It's just, and Tess's scene, I actually preferred the shows because, like we discussed with Chance, that I don't want to continually fight humans. I would rather fight
clickers.
The clickers, and the clickers overran it and took her out. Now, did there need to be a loving embrace at the end of that? No, but
debatable.
Just the fear in her eyes and trying to light that lighter was like,
even the diehard Moriarty brothers were like, what were they thinking with the end of that one? I stand by that. That was terrible. Anyway, go ahead.
So it's that I can't wait for this thing to finish in season 2. I don't know how they're going to handle season 2.
Yeah, that's and I haven't played part 2, and I'm going to. I bought it, like I said, for $10, and I was planning on doing it after I finish this game, but I'm like, I'll wait till the end of the show, and maybe I'll want to play it then, because I want to play Elden Ring. But
right, there's no way they can do what they're supposed to do.
I don't know, but I just want to say, I always thought The Last of Us was a good game, but not a masterpiece, because the gameplay wasn't always there. I felt like I was watching. I mean, you are watching way more sometimes than you are playing in that game. So I always thought like I was already watching a great TV show. And I always knew as soon as they announced this, I'm like, this has amazing potential to be a good show, because I already watched it. So I like what you said. Like, some of the writing, you're right. Some of it has elevated it. But at the same time, is that bad, Bacon, that we're not... There's all this hype around this, but should we be celebrating that, I guess? Or, again, it goes back to, should we be celebrating the game that initially brought us this amazing... this story?
I think we can celebrate. I think we can celebrate both, because the main thing this thing is doing, and given it's driving, maybe... once everybody knows that this is a show based on a video game, does that bring people who aren't into video games? And even if they're going to Sony's side, even if they're going to Team Blue, I would still want to see the growth of the gaming industry as a whole. So it is important. It's not a Resident Evil or a Mortal Kombat. That this is an actual touching story that I think can open the doors for people who, like Chappelle's mom, is she going to pick up a PS5 to play through The Last of Us? Probably not. But it's just, when you think about the possibilities of what this can open up for Team Blue and the gaming industry as a whole, I think is what really needs to be celebrated.
And before I throw it over to Jose, I think one thing we can celebrate, like you said, Bacon, is that this is a great video game adaptation. Like, we should celebrate that, because there haven't been very many of those, from video games to films or TV shows. Jose, closing with this, do you think this is actually drawing more people to buy PS5s? Or I actually think it's probably, I think it's probably causing more people who already have a PS5 or a PlayStation or a console to actually go back and play Last of Us if they hadn't at this point. I think that's more realistic. I don't know how many consoles are like Bacon just said, is your mom going to go out and buy a PS5 just to play The Last of Us? Probably not. But I think there are people who are watching this on HBO and be like, oh, I never played that actually, and I already have a PS5. I might as well pick it up to check it out.
I mean, I think it depends how you define the question, in the sense that, like, are there probably more people than there were before the show? Yeah, even one person is one person more, right? I think the bigger picture question is, like, it's probably, like, to your point, Dan, people that play like Madden all the time and only Madden.
Yeah, exactly.
FIFA,
that's
it
what
might
I'm
encourage
thinking.
them to go pick it up, right? I also think there probably are a handful of people, relatively, that will go buy a PlayStation who were, like, maybe already teetering. They were like, I kind of want into gaming. There's some cool stuff out. And they were kind of on the fence, and they're like, actually, the show made me love it. I want to give it a shot. I mean, like, I think it is overall helping the situation. I don't know if we'll be able to measure it overall. I'm sure that will something that will come out in, like, an earnings report in the future. But that's all I'm saying. Again, I'm happy for him. Truly am. Bacon?
Closing thoughts, Bacon.
When you think about it, gamers, since I started gaming in the early 80s, we've been kind of judged and told we're basement dwelling dorks, and the COD lobbies and chats of just vulgarness and a lot of hatred. But when you see, and I got to give Druckmann credit for this, when you see a game with heart and with a soul and with a story to be told, and to be told in the cinematic, which we don't particularly care for, with the Sony walking, talking, cutscenes, but people can see gamers in a different light with a show like this, and that's mainly what I'm taking away from this.
Great discussion. Let's close the show like we always do with the best food we had this week. I'll go first here, guys. We just went and got, or actually, I went and got Chipotle tonight. Man, it had been a while. Double chicken, the standard order. Got the guac on the side, and you get a side of corn, a side of green, mix it a little bit. Delicious. But man, I had to run to the bathroom immediately, and I don't know if it was the Chipotle or something else, but I had hot, acidic, bad diarrhea immediately after this Chipotle. So, I mean, shout out to Chipotle for a great meal. Maybe.
Shout out.
Jose, what about you?
We had a banger of a food week in the sense that it was Victoria's birthday this last weekend.
Shout
on
out
Saturday.
Victoria. Happy birthday.
Thank you. So we Friday night we went to the Melting Pot with her parents. I know Dan doesn't love it, but it was a delightful meal. It was very, very good. It was also crazy because it was Valentine's weekend, and so literally they told us when we sat down, they're like, "You have 2.5 hours, and we're gonna have to ask you to leave after that time." And they weren't rude about it. They were just like, "We have back-to-back reservations." And I did ask him, "How many people are you going to feed tonight?" He goes, "We have 600 reservations for tonight." And I was like, oh my gosh. Then Saturday morning, we went to Toast with my parents, which is a really awesome brunch place in Littleton. Check it out if you like brunch. It's awesome. Then we went to Park Meadows to buy Victoria a birthday gift, and I got Popeyes for lunch, which was sweet.
Popeyes.
And then after that, Super Bowl at my parents' house, which was super rad, like pizzas and dips and nachos and snacks, ate like a king. And then this week today was a National SRO week at our school for school resource
some
officer.
donuts.
Our SRO, that's messed up. Our SRO loves Popeyes, and so today my principal,
that chicken for Popeyes.
Everybody Popeyes fan. So I was living quite large, and I mean that both figuratively and literally. After I get better for my surgery, I need to start working. It's
Jose, I forgot to say last week. Also, add to the list. Actually, I had 3 because Allie had 1, 2 to the list. Jose,
all right.
Add them to the list, Jose.
I'm writing.
Bacon. What was the best food you had this week?
Other than the standard Super Bowl food, and congrats to Chance for his team.
No, we don't need to say that. No, we do not congratulate other teams in the AFC winning the Super Bowl.
I get it, but I'm going to help support a friend. So we had some wings and some nachos, but I had some pork chops today with a baked potato for dinner before the show with some corn. It turned out pretty good. And I assume this Saturday we're going down to the Performing Arts Theater to see RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, who's coming with an orchestra and a ballet and something to do with 36 Chambers, and we bought tickets for that. So I'm assuming we're going to get something to eat before that, but we still don't know what the show is. But we bought tickets the second we heard about it. It sounds like it's going to be
some of our students are getting to play with him and the symphony on Saturday, dude. I don't know if they're going to be in the performance. They might just get to be in the practice, but they're getting to be with the RZA, which is super dope.
I don't have any idea what the show is. I just saw a commercial. I'm like, buy tickets. I don't know what to expect.
Have fun, man. I'm excited to see how it is.
I'm pretty excited. And Nell's like, who's RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan? I'm like, oh, let's do this. So
here we go.
Broke out the catalog, and so I'm a big hip hop dude. So all right, that's about it.
Spoiler warning going into next week, or actually what Allie and I have a date tomorrow night. I'm just going to let you guess where we're going. Okay, spoiler warning. You already know where we're going.
Sushi.
No! Guys, this has been the Nerd Chat episode 94. We were talking about ABK acquisition as always, talking about the value of Game Pass, talking about some Sea of Thieves, Halo Infinite, The Last of Us. If you would like to follow us, you can follow me at DaddyDWALLY across all social media. You can follow the show at The Nerd Chat on all social media. We sincerely thank all of the viewers out there for some of our recent videos. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Chipotle Bear, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Chipotle Bear, on Twitter, Chipotle_Bear, and on Twitch occasionally at Chipotle Bear, probably not for the next week or so because of things going on. But if you liked what you hear here, drop us a like, leave us a comment. Again, we really appreciate everybody listening, hanging in towards the end. It's definitely a labor of love, and we love to see that this small but great podcast is growing. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.
And Bacon, where can people find you?
You can find me at XBacon Gaming across all the socials. And if you folks have made it this far into the podcast, we really do appreciate your time. Have a good day.
As always, gentlemen, see you online.
See you online.
See you online.
See you online.
Now, Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now? No Ron, huh? Well, you better be sick, dead, or mute, Ron.
Here? Oh, man.
Why didn't you answer me the first time I said it, huh?
Huh?
I'm just asking, I said it like 4 times. So why didn't you say it the first time I said Ron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
Son of a bitch!
The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast, is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. The show was created by Daniel Walenzik, and you can follow him at DaddyDWALLY across all social media. The assistant to the co-host is Jose Martinez, and you can follow him at Chipotle_Bear. The assistant to the co-host is Chance Siegel, and you can follow him at BubbleBoyN7. The intern to the assistant to the co-hosts is Jason Jarrett, and you can follow him at XBaconGaming. You can also follow the show at The Nerd Chat across all social media. And if you'd like to find out more about the show, visit nerdchatmedia.com.